So I've tried nearly every keyboard from Nuphy and all of them have impressed me. When I saw them announce this Gem80, I was really interested in trying it out, and I've had this in the office for over a month now, so wanted to share my thoughts on whether you should check this keyboard out. First thing to mention is that unlike any of Nuphy's previous boards, this is fully custom, meaning that if you go on their website and place an order, you're only getting the bare bones kit with no switches or keycaps included. You can also choose between a wired only or wired plus Bluetooth and 2.4 GHz version, depending on how you use your keyboard. In similar Nuphy fashion, the 5 color options all have a playful look to them. This here is the Cosmic Mocha, which I think looks great on my wooden tabletop, but honestly, I wish I would have went with the black. That aside, I think this board looks really good, and it's a great form factor for a work from home keyboard. I honestly don't make much use of these 9 keys in the right corner, but the separation of the arrow keys from the main keyboard is a major benefit for programming. I find that with smaller keyboards, often I'll end up misclicking these. I've always loved 75% as a compact form factor, but this extends the length just a little bit to make it easier to use. So this top frame is made from aluminum and the bottom being of a polycarbonate. I was hoping to see Nuphy make a full aluminum keyboard, but it seems like they're sticking with their dual material makeup. The rubber on the 4 corners prevents it from scratching up your desk, and even though there isn't any elevated feet like on the Halo board, I still think the height and angle is fine. You may want to use a wrist rest, as I found I started to get a little fatigue after using this for a few hours. Nuphy sells these as an additional add-on for $35 or $40, depending on the material. The one I have here is their acrylic frosted times Cosmic Mocha, which has this transparent look, but with all of the versions of these I've owned, they pick up fingerprints really easily and tend to come out of the box already scratched up. I haven't tried the wooden ones, but they look to me to be a lot more durable, and honestly, I prefer how these look. So right out of the box, the bare bones kit has a FR4 plate with a silicone socket gasket mount. This mount is designed to be changed for your liking, and there are 3 other options depending on the typing feel that you want. You can also buy extra plates separately if you're looking for a different sound signature. These are pretty cheap at $12 to $15. This stock silicone socket mount has the most bounce while typing, but you can opt for the silicone bean or strip gasket mount for slightly less or the most firm feeling from the screw and silicone top mount configurations. I've just been using this as it comes stock and find that that's more enjoyable for me. If you take a look at the bottom side of this case, you'll see 2 switches for both OS and connectivity mode. Having these here is super convenient as they're easy to get at for when you switch devices, but they also stay hidden when the board sits there. Now, I'm not the biggest fan of RGBs and so tend to leave the lighting on my keyboard turned completely off, but if you do want to configure the 3 lighting sections, you can do this using function and the arrow keys. For the main backlights, function and the left arrow key cycles the effects, and function right arrow changes the color. To increase and decrease the brightness, you can use the up and down arrows while holding function. To control the side light in the top left corner, you can hit function M and the arrow keys in the same way. This side light has the dual purpose of being a battery and caps lock indicator, along with signaling when you switch to different OS and connection modes. Lastly, there's a nameplate on the right side which can be controlled holding function and N, along with pressing arrow keys in, again, the same way. What makes this a proper custom keyboard is its support for QMK and VIA, and within VIA you can change the lighting effects, but this will only affect the main backlights. While these keycaps aren't shine through, the F, J, and up arrow key all have bumps, mainly meant for positioning your fingers, but these themselves are transparent and do allow a small amount of light to bleed through. If you're working with the lights off, this does create a cool effect, but during the day, if I have lighting turned on, it's not super noticeable. We'll come back to these keycaps in a minute, but underneath, the switch set that I have installed are the Mint switches, which are a collaboration with Gateron and Nuphy. The 3 main switch choices you have are Mint, Raspberry, and Lemon. Mint and Raspberry are linears, while Lemon is tactile. You can of course put any switches you want in here, but for only $15 to kit the entire keyboard, it's not a bad deal. The operating force of these Mint switches is 37 grams compared to 46 on the Raspberries. These are pretty easy to actuate, so I do find it easy to mistype if I'm not paying close attention. I think that these feel fine, but they're quite honestly not my favorite switches of all time. They seem to be pre-lubed, but have more of a mushy feeling than I'd like. That aside, for typing, they do feel smooth, and linears for the past year or two have been my preferred style for both typing and gaming. Of course, this being a custom keyboard that is bare bones out of the box, this is hot swappable, so while I think Nuphy switches are gonna be close to the best bang for your buck, but if you want to throw upgraded ones in here, it's very easy to do. This is something I did a while back with my Halo 75, along with adding some GMK keycaps. Speaking of keycaps, these are double shot PBT and feel great to type on. This being a high profile keyboard gives you nearly infinite options for additional keycaps, especially as the switches are south facing. If you have one of their low profile boards, you're much more limited. That said though, these have a very smooth feel, and like all of Nuphy's keycaps, have a playful design to them. These also have a round shape, comfortable to rest your fingers on, but are a bit slippery, so while this board has a 1000 Hz polling rate, beneficial for gaming, I don't know I'd run to this one first, at least with these keycaps. The legends on the modifier keys are designed for Mac by default, but you can swap these for Windows ones that are also included within the set. I love the font and have always appreciated the decals on the function row. This Cosmic Mocha set looks great, and what I liked about it is it's a lot more minimal than most of Nuphy's older ones. I have just the escape and enter key as the secondary brown color, but you can also have these on the arrow keys. Now with the combination of the mint switches and these gem keycaps, this board sounds quite good, all without any pinging. Now, that sound has to do with a few things. The spacebar is Nuphy's Ghost Bar, which has a silicone sound absorber to reduce that loud, clanky sound a lot of spacebars have. There's also two pieces of silicone rubber placed underneath it to further reduce that noise. Additionally, for all of the large keys like Enter and Shift, the stabilizers are pre-lubed and are very smooth. This makes all of the keys sound consistent. So this is the Nuphy Gem80, and after using this personally for the last month, I wanted to share it with you guys. Unlike Nuphy's earlier boards, this is much closer to a proper custom keyboard in that you can more easily change out the mount and other internals while connecting to VIA for customization. If you want a keyboard that you can easily set up and start using, it serves a dual purpose in that sense, as other than the initial half an hour to throw on the keycaps and switches, I haven't done anything to it. At 80%, this layout is really nice and is what I'm starting to prefer at my desk for typing and programming. At $180, including switches and keycaps, this is a pricey board, but what you're getting is very high quality, and you can save 10% if you use my code, which I'll leave down below. This is a great keyboard to type on daily, but when I was traveling a couple of months back to my second setup, I brought along another keyboard from Nuphy, along with some varying other accessories, so if you want to check that out, go and watch this video here. Take care.